Hello, people of YouTube! Or should I say, hello, people of SAHcon. Hold on one second. My setup is so that I can't actually see your comments unless I have it pulled up on my YouTube app on my phone. So give me a few seconds to just pull up the comments. Not the comments. Yeah, the comments. Yes. All right, perfect. Hello. Thank you all so much for showing up. Yeah. Who's ready to learn about some voice acting? So before we get started, if you are new to SAHcon and new to the fandom, hi, I'm Anna, articulatelyComposed. I have been doing Homestuck voice stuff for about a decade. If you know me, you probably know me from my Hive Swap stuff. So either my Hive Swap Incorrect series, my Pester Quest dub, live dub, and Hive Swap live dubs. The Chixie rap is the thing I am most well known for. That's the only video of mine ever to break 100,000 views. You might know me from Daria's Punk Band. You might know me from the many Broadway stuck SAHcon panels I did. But today, instead of singing for you like I usually do, today I am going to basically go through what I do to build a character voice. Because, well, I've got a lot of character voices in me now. After 10 years of being in the Homestuck fandom and creating voices for not just the Homestuck characters proper, but also pretty much every Hive Swap girl, and there's a lot of Hive Swap girls, you learn a little bit about how to differentiate the voices, what to do to replicate the voices every time. What do you tap into? Oh, you found me because of the Homestuck Cabaret that was linked earlier. That is fun. I love that Gorgorlicious has survived the last couple years because I love making Janaya rap as Tagora. I did it like 5 times and I'll probably never be able to do it again, but I love being able to force Janaya to rap as Tagora. So, what you may not know about me, I'm also a voice teacher. I teach a bunch of music stuff. I teach piano, I teach saxophone, I teach composition, and I teach voice. And I want to start this seminar in a similar way to how I start my own voice lessons, with some warm-ups. So, can all of you, if you so desire, can I hear you all? Well, first, let me have you roll your head in a circle in the other direction, sort of warm up those neck muscles, roll your shoulders back, warm up all of your physical everything. And then let's get started by everybody from your lowest note to your highest note on an ooh. Let's go ooh. Just get that full range going. Feel what's your top, what's your bottom. Do a really nice tall yawn. Sort of stretch out that space going on here. And if you're able to make a lip trill sound, let me have you do that same ooh, but on a just to sort of get your voice all warm and exciting. Warm and exciting. That doesn't make any sense. Well, either way, get your voice all active because we're going to start talking about lots of little things that you might not have considered go into speech. There are a couple things that go into a character voice. Pitch, how high or low it is. Placement, where in the mouth it sits. Vowel shape, how tall or narrow are your vowels. Inflection, how up and down does the voice go? Does it have a large range of inflection? Does it just stay in a similar spot? And something I'm calling flavors, just little extra things to sprinkle on. I love how silly warm-ups make you feel. It's so fun. I have to lead warm-ups for about at least 1, if not 5 students a day. It no longer feels silly for me. All right. And yeah, those warm-ups, those are very vocal, like singing forward warm-ups. I mean, they can help with voice acting too, but yeah, if anyone here wants to learn how to sing, and I will talk about some singing stuff later on, check out my Artist's Alley. I have voice lessons available for a discount for SAHcon people. Now, let's start with pitch. Visual reference, we got a scale going on here, do, re, mi, fa, sol. It's, yeah, how high or low is it? Is your pitch lower down in your range? Is it higher up in your range? It really is just where in that range is your voice placed? What's the range? Do they have a very limited range? And this kind of falls into inflection as well. Do they speak in the same like box of ranges, or are they able to go all the way up and all the way like very tippy top of your range and all the way down? Do they have a really wide range of pitches? Are you using your chest voice or your head voice? Now, chances are you're probably not using your head voice often, but I do have a couple characters where it's a very signature sound for them to snap into that head voice sometimes. So maybe they'll exist higher up in that chest voice, but sometimes they'll flip into that head voice when they get especially excited. So using different parts of your register, chest voice being where you normally speak from, and head voice being a much floatier part of your range, adding a little bit of that head voice in makes things sound a little bit more dynamic sometimes. Placement. Now, this is kind of hard to explain if you've never really thought about where your voice sits in your mouth, but think about, I often explain vocal placement to people as, think about retail voice. When you're talking in retail voice, generally, you're not just raising your pitch, you're not just taking it up higher, you're also softening your pitch and maybe putting it a little closer to the front of your mouth to make it sound friendlier. Because if your voice is forward, it sounds very, very professional and a little bit robotic sometimes. If your voice falls further back in your throat, it can sound a little more sardonic, a little more, well, the boomers will think you don't care as much, so your placement isn't going to be down here. It's going to be not just higher, but softer and more forward. So if you've ever worked a retail job, think about where you hold your sound in your mouth as you do your retail voice. This is a diagram of the mouth. Yeah, essentially, you got your tongue, you got your teeth, you got the back of your throat, you got your palate, and as you are changing the placement of your voice, you're essentially rolling that sound around in different spots in your mouth. So things like front of the mouth, front of the teeth, very much on the lips, very tip of the tongue, to the back of the throat, very comes from that, well, that pharyngeal area. You can sort of hear it projecting from back here. Low on the tongue, sort of flat on the bottom, versus high up on your palate, sort of feeling it pulling through the top of your head. I say imagine an orb here, because I like to picture my sound as like a ball, and I place it in different parts of that mouth. I roll that ball from the front of the mouth to the back of the throat, to the top of the mouth, through the top of the head. Evil box of headaches. The tongue is very big. Very frequently I am imagining an orb. Yeah. Hello, VR chat people. Thank you for popping in. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Box of headaches. I get nauseous in VR chat. I can't do it. I tried. I was really excited to see it the first year I had access to a computer that could do it, and I immediately got nauseous. So, I getcha. Pondering my orb. Yes. Ponder your orb. Think about, roll that sound in different places of your mouth. Put that orb in the front of your teeth. Pull that orb higher up in that palate. See what that does to your shape. Speaking about shape, we're going to talk about vowel shape now. So, How many of you are singers? How many of you have ever been in a choir? This is something that if you've ever been in a choir, you have probably heard endlessly about. If you are a singer, specifically a choral singer or a classical singer, you may have been told to keep your ah very tall. Keep a very tall ah as opposed to an ah. A wide ah versus a tall ah can really change the way a vowel sounds. Same things with things like bright e's, really sharp wide e versus a round e with the corners of your mouth pulled in. Hard R versus a softer R. Obviously not a vowel, but this is the kind of thing that, sort of tells what is your character's accent? This is one of the most important things that goes into accents. So you may, notice if you hear a British accent, the ahs are very soft. You don't exactly use those ahs in the same way that an American accent would very much exaggerate those hard R's. We have what linguists call a rhotic R. And you can really lean into that, and it's a scale. It's a sliding scale. You can have a softer R while it's still an American accent. But if you have a harder R, it can make that character sound a little more brash, a little younger, really. And vowel modification. This is something that comes into play with singing a lot, where you might want to change that vowel to something a little bit taller to hit a different note. But vowel modification comes into play with voice acting when you are, taking maybe an accent you have and thinking, okay, what if this character has this accent here, but I make my O's really round? If I round those O's off, it changes the sound a little bit. Yes, vowels are very important. Hell yeah, fellow choir kids! I miss being in choirs. The one drawback about being an adult is there are not as many opportunities to sing with other people unless you make them yourself. Up, up, up with our voices. I've taught that song so many times to children that want to sing it. Very funny thing about that, you wouldn't want to do an vowel, you'd want to do an vowel to hit those, like more of an to hit those really high notes, because that song goes up to an A5, which is a crazy high note for children. Where my alto 2's at? I'm actually alto 1, but close enough. All right, and yes, keep it consistent. Last little thing about the vowels. You want to figure out what your character has and keep it the same. Make sure that those vowels stay the same each time, because if you let it slip, then it'll be like, okay, they're putting on a voice, rather than, oh yeah, no, this character just sounds like that. Inflection. So we talked a little bit about inflection when it came to pitch range, but this is vocal motion. This is how much does your character's voice move and in what direction does it move. Things like uptalk come from this. I'm sure you've heard about, the influencer accent where they always end their sentences like a question because they want you to think that the video's not done yet. That is an example of inflection. A way that you can make sure you nail that inflection is think about your character speaking in your mind. If you've ever, I'm this kind of person, I don't know if you're this kind of person, but if you ever watch a TV show too much, and then all of your thoughts come in the voice of a character because you've memorized their inflection, that's something you can use to keep a character's inflection consistent. So let's say you're trying to build a voice for an OC of yours. If you can write dialogue in their voice and imagine how they would say it and copy that inflection, that is going to be what gives them that color. And this is where impressions come from. If you're ever doing an impression of a character, being able to copy how they go up and down, do they end things with their voices up, do they end with the voice going down, how wide is that inflection range, do they keep it very narrow, that's going to be the key to doing impressions. So if you've spent some time around the con, you may have seen me and Janaya ceaselessly advertising our actual play podcast. And I'm sorry, I'm looking at the comments for 2 seconds. Question mark is very fun. Yeah. Yeah. So you may have heard me and Janai talking about our actual play podcast. So shameless self-promotion. It is a TTRPG actual play podcast based in the Avatar Legends system, meaning that we are bringing in canon characters from the world of, in this case, Legend of Korra, because I said it in the Legend of Korra timeline. And a lot of these characters are out of my personal range, because I am a mezzo. I have a textbook mezzo range. I cannot make myself sound like a deep-voiced character, because I don't have a deep voice. But the way that I have pulled off bringing in these canon characters that I don't have the voice of all depends on inflection. I hear the character in my mind, I copy that up and down, and it does a close enough job, even if I'll never hit the actual pitches. Last little bit is something I'm calling flavors. Lovely little picture of soup for your pleasure. Things like vocal fry. We all know vocal fry. We all know how to do it. We've all spoken it ourselves. This is a flavor to add. Things like rasp. Something to, well, for your car cats out there, adding a little bit of rasp to your sound. Personally, I don't love adding a ton of rasps to my characters just because it can hurt after a while. Oops. Oh no. And things like nasality. Putting your sound in your nose. That's another thing that, sprinkles on top, gives some flavor. And yeah, now I want to break down. Oh no, I'm making you all hungry. When you're done watching this panel, you guys should all get yourself some tasty, tasty soup. So, yeah, we're going to analyze some of the voices that I do. Some of them are going to be Homestuck voices, some of them are not going to be Homestuck voices, but we're going to start with the most iconic of them all, Vriska. So for Vriska, she sits a little bit higher than my natural speaking voice, and she sits very forward in the mouth, not all the way on the teeth, but on the hard palate, sort of where the ridge of the hard palate, starts getting, rough and bumpy, if that makes sense. And her most important thing, she has extremely bright vowels. Her E's are so sharp to the point where it is a little bit hard to sing as her sometimes, and her R's extremely hard. The whole point of Vriska is to sound as bratty as humanly possible. And of course, she's got a little bit of that Valley Girl inflection in her. I say her inflection's kind of melodic. Sometimes she will go into a sing-songy, Tafros kind of thing. Very, very up and down. She has pretty high highs. Her lows, she doesn't go that low, but generally she has a very wide range of pitches because she wants you to know she's the most important person in the room. And yeah, she has some vocal fry. Not a ton of vocal fry. She doesn't depend on it, but if I'm going lower in her range, there's going to be some vocal fry. And if I'm going higher in her range, I'm probably not depending as hard on it. I see everybody wants soup. You should have some Vriska soup. Up next, we're going to do Rose, which is probably, well, if you all saw the opening ceremonies, you've already heard my Rose voice. But, yeah, for Rose, she has a higher pitch than my natural speaking voice, but it's not higher pitch-wise, really. It's more high placement-wise. It's very floaty. She sits in the center of the roof of the mouth, sort of pulling upwards. Her R's are softened and her vowels are very tall. I say it's almost transatlantic. It's not exactly a transatlantic accent, but it is very, very softened. Because she's so intellectual, she doesn't want to be grouped in with, well, anyone like Vriska who feels like they're so important. She wants her intelligence to carry her importance. So she's trying to make her voice sound, honestly, artificially softened. Artificially softened in a way that makes her sound intellectual. Her inflection is lifted. I think of her inflection sort of as an up and down. Like she'll start the sentence by lifting upwards and then finish at the bottom of the arc. She won't finish her sentences upward because that's not what she's going for. No, she begins lifting upwards and then heading down and being very final. Oh, hello. Stealing your identity as Vriska. Yes, feel free to steal my Vriska. I'm breaking this down so other people can copy me. All right, well, let's float over to the Hive Swap side of things, specifically some voices that I did for Friend Sim 2, which you should all still, even though it has finished, you should all go and play it if you haven't played it yet. We're going to do Tizius. So, unlike the other two, she has a considerably lower pitch than the other characters, like very much the bottom of my range. And I take her sound and I shove it towards the back of the throat. All of the vowels are very swallowed. She sits at the back of the throat and the center of the tongue sort of pressing down. I've noticed when I voice her for long periods of time, I can feel her on my tongue. Like my tongue sort of starts to seize up because it's holding itself down so much. Now, while the vowels are back here, the consonants are shoved to the front of the mouth. The S's are a little bit hissy, there's a bit of a hiss to them, and you can very much feel it on your lips. So, vowels swallowed, consonants on the tip of the teeth. Her inflection, I say downward inflection, that might not have been the exact right thing to do. It's very forward. Like, yes, the words end down, but she doesn't have a very wide inflection. She doesn't have a very wide range of pitches. Very much stays in this area, and it's very finite. This is what's happening. This is what's being said. Nothing's really going anywhere. And she does not open her mouth all the way. In general, I keep my mouth very closed for her compared to the other voices, which actually makes things a little difficult when it comes to singing. We will get back to that a little bit later. Another Hive Swap voice. Oh wait, it's not a Hive Swap voice! This is a voice that I've actually recycled into Moment of Balance. So, if you ever have run a TTRPG or, I don't know, voiced your own original characters, had any kind of need to make a ton of voices at one time, and you also voice Homestuck, chances are you are going to be grabbing some of those Homestuck voices for your characters, and those are going to become your new characters' voices. They are not going to be your Homestuck characters' voices anymore. So, also, everyone says hi to Janaya, because they could hear you coming in.
Hey.
Oh, wait, no, they said that because you're in the chat.
I'm in the chat, but also hi. I'm also here physically.
All right, so yes, unclears your Joey. So yeah, this is the same voice I used for Joey in the live dubs of Hive Swap and all that, and some of my comic dubs and stuff, but this is also the voice I use for Soma from Moment of Balance. She has a raised pitch. Her voice is a little higher than my natural speaking voice. It's placed on the front teeth and in the nasal cavity. Her most important feature of her voice is the nasality. She has shorter vowels, not very tall vowels, that wouldn't really sound right with the nasality, and brighter E's. Similar to Vriska, but instead of, while Vriska is like very, very self-important about it, and also has the hard R's, Soma is, well, also she has pretty round O's, but Soma is more, well, it's more about the nasality than the vowels themselves. She has a pretty animated inflection. If, for those of you who have not seen the show, which you should go listen to the show, it's available on Spotify. She is a sort of overworked, burnt-out gifted kid type who is constantly in some sort of state of panic. So she has a pretty animated inflection. She's actually, take a look at my demo reel on my Artist Alley page to hear more of her. Yeah, Jen has a very animated inflection, a little bit whiny, but like not in a, oh, I need to do something, I don't want to do this kind of whiny, but in a, like a, oh my god, something is happening kind of whiny. And, last but not least, let's do another moment of balance voice. One of my... Oh, you got an Uber Eats ad. They know you're hungry. Ha! One of my favorite moment of balance voices to do. Hikaru Seki. She has a mid-range pitch. I don't really change where I place my range for her. But she's very front of the mouth, very crisp on the teeth. Her voice is very, well, if we're gonna go into the vowel section, she has a RP British accent. RP meaning received pronunciation. And, yes, she's very, very highly enunciated. She wants you to know that you're doing something wrong. Some words have a slightly different pronunciation that those of us Americans would not have expected. Both or and aw sounds become an oo sound. This is actually something in linguistics known as the porn-pawn merger. The porn-pawn merger, where two vowels, both the or and the aw sound, became the same sound. So, well, if I was to say porn and porn in her voice, it would sound the exact same way. Yes, very, very elongated, very, very, well, received pronunciation. It's the proper, the proper way to speak in the noble classes. Occasionally, she will flip her R's whenever it's appropriate. It's not all the time, but that little, well, you heard it in the word appropriate. It's sort of the tip of the tongue flicking against the teeth there. And she has a very dramatic inflection because she wants you to know that she is the most important person in the room. My darling disappointment of a daughter. I'm so glad to hear your voice. I hope you fucking die. I love doing her voice. She's like one of my favorite voices from this show. So, we're gonna build some voices from scratch. I've noticed a lot of Vriska VAs soften their Vriska voice to get to their Joey voice. Huh. You know, yeah, so when it comes to the voice I do for Joey, and also Soma, that is sort of my, like, generic, like, Harley Burt voice. So, like, if I was ever to do Jade, I would do the same voice, because I don't have a very cute voice. I have I'm a mezzo, pretty standard mezzo, and I don't have one of those really cute, soft, light voices that a lot of people will give to Jade. Like, I can't, like, keep that up. So if I ever do, like, someone who exists in the Harley Burt space, I play up the nasality because that makes my voice sound a little bit cuter. Like, there's a reason why the voices I've glommed onto in Homestuck are Vriska, Rose, Kanaya. I've never glommed onto someone like Nepeta or Feferi. I don't have a light, cute enough voice for that. So if I try to do something light and cute, I pull in the nose. All right. So, we had a couple people, I had a couple people from various areas, some people in the SAHcon panelists chat, some people from the Bard Rock server, which is where Moment of Balance is hosted, give me some original characters, and I'm going to, based off their descriptions, build a voice for them. So this is Farah, made by at Lightbeamed Eyes on Discord. I believe this is the person who's doing the John and Rose concert later tonight, which you guys should check out later on. Her description, Farah's robot body is her second body, in which it allows her to do things she's far too afraid to do herself in life. Farah is incredibly skilled when it comes to engineering, but she does not exist anymore, so only her robot remains. Lots of lost identity and weird patches of trying to replicate who she's supposed to be. Very quiet, only says things she thinks are important. Very woeful that she's not Farah, but tries to stay happy regardless. Now, So because of all of this description, I feel like her voice seems like it would probably be softer. A lot of robot voices are one of two things. Either they are like really like robotic, very monotone kind of thing. I don't see that for this character. I see more of a like a Siri type voice, like a robot assistant type voice. Very very soft, very gentle, and well, there's some melancholy there. I feel like her voice would sit somewhere around here. A little bit of sadness to the voice, softness, gentleness. If the creator of this character is in the audience today, let me know if this is something that you think fits. But yeah, placement-wise, it's actually a little bit lower in my voice, a little lower in my range, front of the mouth, very little nasality, taller vowels but not ridiculously tall vowels, a little bit of a softer R, not a super hard R, but not so soft as to feel transatlantic. Slightly taller vowels, sort of in the rose space, but different inflection than rose, more downwards, softer, gentler, and lower in pitch. Yeah. Next one, this is a character by Melanie from Voft, who is also doing a panel later. You should check that out. This is Anime Oteko, so I guess a anime otaku, anime-obsessed introvert finally getting to live out all her anime dreams through Suburb. When I got this image, my first thought is she looks very Urania. The hair, the glasses, gives big Urania vibes. Now, I don't know if she's going to have an Urania voice straight up. My voice for Urania is actually very similar to my voice for Branya. Higher up in pitch and very, like up here. I don't know if she's going to sit up here. I think, she's an introvert. She's a little nervous, maybe very front of the mouth, kind of quiet, but, well, when she gets to talking about something, maybe info dumping about her favorite anime, maybe talking about her favorite, well, stuff going on with Suburb, she gets very animated and very up and down and very fast talking, and I think this would be a very good placement for this. Melanie, I know you're in the chat. Do you think this is a good voice for the character that you have provided for me? And yeah, this is a very cute design. I like the like, well, we got the Urania vibes, but also the horns are very angular. It's fun. Okay, great. I love that. I'm glad that I could do her justice. All right, next one. This is a character given to me from someone in the Bard Rock server. This is Leaf on the Wind by Alana from Bard Rock. Baddest monk around, whose favorite pastime is flame skull volleyball. She can be fierce, but also a kitten when happy. So I'm seeing maybe a bit of a gruffer voice. Still, like, maybe a little hissy, a little gruff, a little, Got a little bit of that rasp. A little fierceness, a little... I'm the baddest monk around, whose favorite pastime is flame skull volleyball. Like a little bit of that, but it says also a kitten when happy. So I'm thinking, my thought is a little bit of purr, a little bit of maybe sitting around here, but able to add in a little bit of a, well, something good's happening. Like adding in that purr sound. I'm hearing that, like, sort of, it's very throaty. Not something I'd really want to do long term myself, because, like I said earlier, rasp can hurt me a little bit, but for those of you who are a little more comfortable with a raspier voice, yeah, that's where I feel like I'd fit this one. How do I purr? I roll my R's, like the same way that you would, like, or like if you were Like, yeah, flipping. Actually, the way that I learned how to roll my R's was I basically just said L and R really fast. Like, I realized when I was real little that it's basically just saying L and R back and forth really, really fast. I don't know if that's the best way to break into it, but yeah, I'm literally just rolling my R. Yeah, I purr at Janaya a lot when we're cuddling. I will rub my face against her and purr because I'm a kitty at heart. I'm grabbing my wife's arm right now. I love her so much. I mean, the rolling your R, it's similar to the lip trill we did earlier. But it's the same having something blocking the way and blowing air through it. It's something called semi-occluded singing. This is something that voice teachers use to, well, basically get people to hit higher notes. Most people use the lip trill, but you can use the as well. And what it does is because there's something blocking the way that you have to put a little extra air to keep running, it forces you to use the amount of air you need to hit higher notes more healthfully. So, yeah, you can say I know how to purr because I do singing. I don't know. Give it a try. Honestly, well, if you have trouble with the if you're trying to sing something, warming up, try doing it on a. It'll give you the same effect. And the last character, I don't know how well I'm going to do this one justice because, as I said before, I am a mezzo. I am not a deep voice person. But when I read the description, this guy seemed to have a pretty clear voice in my mind. This is Horace Blackburn by Tensei from Bard Rock. He's a wealthy 1920s socialite and man about town, freely funds other people's passions that strike his interests, which so far includes stuff like ghost hunting and a journey to the center of the earth. Also say that he can be part of them and one-up the other rich people who have way too much free time. And it's not on this description here, but later in the chat that this character was posted in, someone mentioned that he wears a cowboy hat. And that made me think, well, definitely a low-voice person. And with a cowboy hat, he probably has a enjoyment of cowboy culture. So I'm thinking he probably got a southern accent of some sort. Something very... Again, I'm not doing this depth justice. I'd want to have a much larger chest cavity to get what I'm going for, but... very low, very smooth, very... well... playing the game, so to speak. The car horn is diegetic. Yeah. So, yeah, in general, yeah, you can glean a lot just from a description and a picture, and I mean, a lot of it comes down to, like, your vibe from what you're getting. Actually, I've had a couple people approach me for voice acting commissions from my Artist Alley page, and yeah, just from a short description and maybe a picture, you can glean a lot from where a voice wants to go. You can sort of just follow, like, what's the vibe you're getting? And once you pin down the vibe and maybe slide your own voice around to test, like, okay, can I match this vibe with my voice? That's when you want to stop and think, okay, where's the placement? Where am I keeping this in my mouth? What are the vowel shapes? What are the things that I can go back and replicate the next time I do it? We're going to do a little bonus slide. We're talking about singing in character now. So, yeah, if you've been following my SAHcon panels for the last 7 years, I usually do a singing panel, and I usually do some singing in character, if not for the whole time. If you saw my Broadway Stuck panels, there was the Cabaret, there was the Darius Punk Band panel, there was Time's Apprentice. I've done a lot of singing in character in a lot of different characters, and there are some voices that are hard to sing in. So The character I have sung in the most is Vriska, and she's not exactly hard to sing in. Actually, her vocal placement is very comfortable when it comes to things like high mix belting. I didn't properly learn how to high mix belt until I took voice lessons in grad school, and then I realized I'd been doing it all along because the placement you have for high mix belting is the Vriska placement. So, yeah. Vriska is a comfortable one to sing in when it comes to hitting the notes, but there are some sounds that Vriska makes, specifically those really wide E's, really sharp, really, like, it doesn't give you enough space to resonate. So if I was singing some Vriska, I need one of my Vriska songs to give an example here. Let me do a bit of an apology. I've done that one a lot. I fought for every last inch that I got. Forgive me for leaving my spot. On a lot of those vowels on those higher notes, I'm not doing as bright a sound as I would if I was just doing Vriska speaking. Like, the I would normally do a really sharp I. Like a really tight, sharp I. Vriska. Like I. In her voice, in her name. I. But singing, you don't want to have an I vowel. You want more of an because you can't hit those high notes on an I. It's too short. There's not enough space for your sound to resonate. So you can still keep the voice up with modifying those vowels. Another character that I modified the voice specifically to sing in is Tisius. She started out with a lot more vocal fry than she ended up with in the end. It felt like it fit her character, and it did fit her character. Problem is, you can't sing on vocal fry. You can add a little bit of that creak in, but you can't keep a constant vocal fry sound if you're trying to sing. It just doesn't work. So I ended up axing her vocal fry entirely and focusing more on the placement of the voice in the back of the throat and those very tight consonants in the front, very closed mouth. That's one thing I do modify when singing as her, though. I have to open her mouth a little more. Do I have an example of, do I have a example of her voice that goes high? I've done a handful of Tisius songs. Wanna give, if I was to do, this one's a deep cut. This is one that I only posted on a SoundCloud account and then nowhere else as a parody of Changing My Major to Joan from Fun Home. I'm changing my major to stealth. I'm changing my major to sex with stealth. Changing my major to sex with stealth with a minor in kissing stealth. Those top vowels, like minor in, that would be spoken. The I would be a lot smaller. I'd keep that very forward, very small mouth. I opened it up more to sing. Clicking on the SAHcon how to build a voice panel for trans reasons. Okay, question for you. What direction are you going in? You trying to make your voice sound higher pitched, more feminine? Trying to make it sound lower pitched, more masculine? Let me give you a quick little tip on what to do, like placement wise. Okay, I see you, various Broadway stuck people trying to get me to do No Good Deed. I cannot fucking do No Good Deed cold like that. That is too hard. Yeah, actually. Yeah, that's my basic singing interlude, but we got some time. Does anyone have any questions about voice stuff? Unrelated question. What did you think of the voices for the Homestuck pilot and anything you changed? Okay, so when I saw the trailer for the Homestuck pilot, I was not happy with who they chose for, or what they chose to do with Rose. I heard that Rose had a little bit of nasality in her voice, and as someone who has done Rose for many, many years and has based my Rose off of other fandom voice actors' Roses, I heard that nasality. It's like, oh, that's not Rose. That is not the flavor. That is not the flavor that I would have added for her. In practice, I didn't mind it. When I actually heard the voice itself, like not just a single clip for the trailer, but the full thing, it didn't sound bad. It was fine. The Dave voice, I mean, I'm not used to a animated, non-monotone Dave. I'm very used to a fanon Dave, a very like, oh, yeah, I'm Dave Strider. Da, 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 da. Like, obviously I can't do Dave. But, yeah, I don't know. I didn't love the Dave voice just because that's just not what I'd imagine for him. But the thing is, the voice actors, they did a good job. They were still good voice actors. And honestly, I was very impressed with Toby Fox's John. I really liked what Toby Fox did with John. I didn't know that. I mean, I know he'd done some voices for his own games, but I didn't know that he like did voice acting outside of his own projects. I thought he did real good with that. I honestly don't remember what my thoughts on Jade were, but yeah, the voice actors didn't do bad jobs when it came to voice acting. I just have a very fandom affected opinion of what Homestuck voices should sound like, because there are these, you know, fanon voices that have been so drilled in the fandom. Let me take a look at some other questions. Could you touch on your Varric voice for a moment of balance? Kay, I see that this is you. I see that I see you, Kay. Yeah, so this goes back to what we were talking about with inflection and impressions. So we're going back to my podcast. So for those of you who have seen The Legend of Korra, one of our very recurring characters, very recurring canon characters from the show that shows up in our show is Varric, the rich guy, who the most unethical billionaire of them all. And the way I do his voice, he sits back of the throat, sort of up, sort of like slid back, but sort of feeling it in my nasal cavity. And it's a lot of yelling. It's a lot of inflection. It's a lot of sort of throwing the sound out there because that sound needs to be heard and there are things that need to be done. So it's one of those things where, again, if you can hear the character's voice in your mind and talk in the way that they would talk, but in the placement that you think is best, well, you're going to get it. Scrolling, because there are a bunch of questions. Could you give tips for trans voices either way, both masculine and feminine, absence of the answer for the other person? So, I am a cis woman, so I have not had to modify my voice for the sake of, you know, dysphoria, presenting in a certain way. But I do know that, generally, that forward, higher placement makes a more feminine voice. So while my natural speaking voice is more down here, a little further back, a little more casual, if you want to make yourself sound more feminine, people pick up on that very soft tone in the front of your mouth and also a little bit of nasality. Generally, masculine voices aren't particularly nasal in this very forward way. So a lot of trans women will place their voices in their nose and very forward in the mouth. You want to feel that voice on the tip of your tongue. While conversely, if you swallow your voice, deepen it's not all about pitch. Swallow your vowels backwards, and also don't talk in a particularly wide inflection. That makes your voice sound a little more masculine. If I'm doing like a butch character, like this is the voice I do for L word, because very butch. I'll slide my voice further back, and it's gonna sound less feminine, because it's not a raised pitch meant for the gaze of men. A lot of times cis women will soften their voices when they're around men they want to make feel less threatened. A lot of vocal stuff has to do with just like general perceptions of things. So yeah, again, I'm not an expert in voices regarding dysphoria. I'm not an expert in trans voices, but I think that's generally the direction you want to go in. For the gays.
Do you want someone who has some experience in feminizing your voice to come in and do a quick guest thing?
Yeah. Say hi to my wife. I was just trying to copy what you told me.
Hi, everyone. So I'm a trans woman who feminizes her voice, and I found that the thing that, like Anna's saying, like, because trans women tend to have thicker vocal folds because of testosterone, and especially if you have like a broader chest, which is true for cis women with a broader chest as well, you're going to have a more naturally sort of deep and resonant voice. So what you want to try to do is you're going to kind of pull your voice up into like your nasal passages and like your sort of the front of your head, which I think is the thing Anna's been talking about pretty consistently. So yeah, like you're really going to want to like brighten the voice and lighten the voice, which helps to mitigate some of the issues you have with like thicker vocal folds. And then a lot of voice training has to do with like how you talk as well. Cis women tend to have a bigger range of like pitch than cis men. And also like just the general mannerisms of speech, which is like highly cultural and has a lot to do with like your specific like language and culture and where you live. So that's something I can't really generalize. But generally speaking, like pitch is you're going to try to get your voice up higher and make it like brighter sounding.
As opposed to something down here where you're talking in a lower voice and your voice is like way back in the back of your throat or something like that. So
what fucking cartoon character was that? Like that sounded like a character.
I just made up. I don't fucking know.
No, that sounded like some established character.
Sure. If you think of the character, that's the character it was. So yeah, guest appearance by Anna's wife.
Yeah.
Who's gonna go back to doing modding now? Enjoy the rest of the panel, everyone.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, I see someone said, how do you usually differentiate Terezi and Carcat's rasps? So I don't do Terezi. I've tried Carcat before. I don't really do Carcat either. Again, I don't like doing raspy voices too much because they can hurt too much. But this is all in inflection. This isn't a pitch or rasp thing. This is a how wild are you making the voice? Like a Carcat is sort of, he's gruff, he's angry, he's pissed off all the time, he sits down here. While Terezi would be more up and down and, ooh, hello, Dave, I'm gonna lick you. Like, it's a very, like, it's has to do with how wide of a pitch range are you willing to do. Taking notes despite being cis woman. Honestly, I will, like, whenever I'm on TikTok and, like, a trans voice thing pops up on my For You page, I will always watch it because that is some solid voice acting advice. Like, there is a reason why there are so many trans women in voice acting, because, like, you're learning voice acting. So, yeah, no, if I ever see videos where people are talking about, like, how to modify your voice specifically for trans purposes, like, I'm taking notes because I could use that to modify my voice for my D&D characters, or my Avatar Legends characters in this case. All right. Her voice is so beautiful, and an ambulance was called outside. Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
My wife is so good at voices. Like, she's so good at voices. Sorry about the ads. I put it on the lowest amount of ads, but I didn't realize how many ads that they would be doing. But every ad you watch, I get a fraction of a cent. So, yeah. You and your wife are both literally awesome. Aw, thank you. We met doing Homestuck projects, and I proposed to her during Prom Stuck, and there's video of it.
It's probably relevant that the first time we ever met was on a voice project.
Yeah, I actually met Janaya. She was voicing Kanaya. I was voicing Rose. We have been very rosemary coded ever since. Whenever we send heart emojis to each other, we always send the purple and green heart emoji. But yeah, we have this fandom to thank for the fact that we are married. And actually, the person who was running the voice project that we met on is one of the other people in Moment of Balance. Will Promstuck come back? I'm not the person to ask for that. You gotta ask Ender. I just sang at Promstuck. I didn't have anything to do with it. You got an ad for Prada? Huh. Uber Eats one is haunted. Yeah, that one's definitely a targeted ad. Yes. Yeah, Ender has been talking about like a 2027 Promstuck?
Yes, that was the last thing I had heard from him.
So, we have, couple minutes left. Does anyone have any more questions before we head off? United by Homestuck. Yep. I'm going to scroll back and see if there are any questions I missed. Who is my favorite voice? Oh, that is a question. I mean, Vriska's my most reliable one. I've been doing her for so long. Vriska is one that, you know, there's like endless content to voice for. Tizius is my favorite Hive Swap one to do. There's a reason I insisted on adding voice acting to Friendsim 2, because I wanted to voice Tizius's route and also wanted to write it. My favorite voice to do for Moment of Balance is 100% Hikaru. I love whenever she gets to be on screen. Yeah, so sweet that Homestuck brought two awesome people together and started love. Yeah! It's your first SAHcon panel ever. I am so glad that you have been introduced to SAHcon. It is too bad that this is our last year, but, yeah, there's still plenty of panels to take a look at. If you like voice stuff, if you like character voices, you should check out the Broadway Stuck panel later today. You should check out the Beyond Carcalicious panel, where there's a bunch of character songs from the ages. Pel's been running that panel for like literally 7 years. You could watch the Broadway Stuck panel. Really, go watch the Broadway Stuck panel. I sing in it. There's Voft is doing a panel, like I mentioned earlier, so that's some voice stuff. Yeah. Could you touch on doing voices out of your range? Now, yeah, it was briefly mentioned, and it was when I was talking about inflection. So if you're trying to do an impression of a voice that's really very much not in your range, you place it where it would be placed. You put it as best as you can in your range, and you focus on the inflection. You focus on how is this person going to say the words, rather than where in the range are the words. Yeah, 7 p.m. on Twitch for Broadway Stuck! Yeah, don't know if you've mentioned already, when did I get into Homestuck? January of 2013. I've been here for 12 fucking years, going on 13 years. It has been too long. I've been trapped here forever. Part of the reason I'm doing this panel is to pass on my secrets to you, so someone else can take the Vriska reins when I have no more ideas of how to make Vriska songs. Oh, the Homestuck fandom's not going to die out. It is definitely too stubborn to die out. There will be new cons made at some point. Yes, 100%. Yeah. Before, honestly, this has really helped with developing the voice of my D&D character more. Amazing. Yes. I am so glad. Yeah, honestly, all of the Homestuck voice acting that I've done is the reason why I am able to give all of my Moment of Balance NPCs separate individual voices. If I hadn't figured out how to move my voice around like that, I probably would not have as distinct characters in my podcast. Yeah. So, looks like we are just about out of time. If you liked this, if you liked hearing me talk about voice stuff, you should go to my Artists Alley channel in the Discord server and take a look at my music lesson offerings. I'm not going to say full-time because I don't work a full 40 hours a week, but I am primarily a music teacher. I make the majority of my income as a music teacher doing private lessons, mostly private piano lessons, but I also give voice lessons. I will give voice lessons virtually and composition lessons virtually. Take a look at my offerings. For anyone who came from SAHcon, if you contact me telling me you're here from SAHcon, I will give you 20% off on your first lesson. Someone says, do you have any tips for someone getting into voice acting? Do your own projects. Find some comics to dub, record yourself doing those comic dubs, and post them online. It just comes down to give yourself excuses to voice act more. And if you want to voice act with other people, the best way isn't to try and weasel your way into a voice acting group, because oftentimes those are either established groups that already have like a bunch of people who know each other, who are casting each other, or they will ask for things like your experience and everything. What you want to do, you want to make your own experience in this fandom, get some comics, get some other friends who want to do some voice acting, record those comics, edit them together, post them online. I did Homestuck voice acting before my channel really took off, but I didn't start, one, really developing as a voice actor, and two, making a name for myself in this fandom until I started doing projects of my own. I want some further tips on how to place my voice. I'm able to visualize it a bit, but not exactly sure how to place my voice more toward the front or back. Okay, so, let's go back to the retail voice example. If you've worked retail before, do your retail voice. Think you got a customer in front of you. Think, thank you for shopping at so-and-so. How can I help you? Where are you putting that sound? How are you placing it? What does it feel like in your mouth? And then imagine yourself talking to, like, a friend of yours. Hey, how you doing? What's going on? Where are you placing that? What's the placement in your mouth? How are you feeling that? Instead of, then try sliding it back and forth and see if you can change it at will. It's tricky to visualize if you've never really thought about it before. This is something that I'm talking with my voice students about all the time, especially the younger ones who, well, they haven't done retail voice before. They've never worked retail because they're 10. It's tricky to be like, okay, your voice sounds a little bit swallowed. Let's put it in your front teeth. And it really comes down to, like, think about your teeth as you speak. Even if you don't know if you're doing it, just think, how does it feel when your tongue touches your front teeth? All the voice acting work I do with friends and for practice is mostly impression work. I'm going back to how to work on my own voice more. Yeah! This is the best voice advice I've heard because I wasn't understanding the voice training vids I was seeing. I'm so glad that this has been helpful. Now, it is about 5 minutes over time, and I know there's another panel going on. What's the panel going on right now?
It's the Beyond Cartolicious fan song quiz show featuring some people from Broadway Stuck or something. I don't know.
One of the people is from Broadway Stuck.
Some people. Featuring some people.
Yeah, so I'm going to step off because I don't want to cut too far into the next show. So for those of you who want to go watch Beyond Carkalicious, go watch Beyond Carkalicious. It's got all sorts of classic fan songs from, I think, as far back as 2010 this time around. Yeah. I hope you all have a wonderful final SAHcon. I'm so glad that we could all come together one last time and celebrate this fandom and celebrate the creativity we got going on here. And yeah. You all are amazing. Thank you for showing up to my channel, and I will see you all, I don't know, the next time I stream. I might, I don't know. I'm not as active on YouTube as I once was, but if you want to see other work I've done, the link to Moment of Balance is in the links below, and also the link to some of my music is in the links below. I just released an album, yeah, also... Do I have anything else about advertising? No. Really just Moment of Balance. Go listen to it. It's a lot of... Yes! Go listen to our podcast and buy Anna's album. It is required. Listen to my wife! Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all next time.